People deal in symbols. That's just the nature of language. And given that we humans are naturally social creatures, symbols are around us no matter where we go. And that's why it's very amusing to find out how these things came to be. So, here are 10 more symbols you probably didn't know the meaning of.
Amazing!
Number 10. The Apple command symbol. When you look at any keyboard manufactured by Apple, you'll see that there's a key on it you can't find on any other computer peripherals made by any other company. It's called the Apple command symbol, which is shaped like a looped square. It's been around since 1980 and has remained unchanged since then. Apple based this on the Swedish road sign NH22, which is used by the country to signify landmarks. In the tech giant's case, on the other hand, pressing the symbol reveals interesting features in your device. So why didn't Apple just use their logo instead? Well, that's because Steve Jobs believed that placing a logo on the keyboard would be an overuse of the Apple logo, hence the looped square. Number 9. Ouroboros. You've probably seen this symbol in a fantasy series somewhere, or perhaps tattooed on some punk's arm. The Ouroboros, which is drawn as a snake eating its own tail, signifies rebirth and the cyclical nature of the universe. It's actually been around since the days of ancient Egypt, and its meaning has remained pretty much the same ever since. Specifically, its earliest usage can be found in the enigmatic Book of the Underworld, which was first discovered by archaeologists Howard Carter and co. back in 1922, within the tomb of Tutankhamun, whom you might know as the pharaoh that's apparently cursed. The thing is that the enigmatic Book of the Dead is rather misleading considering it's not really a book. It's a piece of funerary text, not unlike what we write in modern epitaphs. In the book's case though, the Ouroboros is meant to be part of a sort of magic spell or charm that will assist the soul of the dead pharaoh through the netherworld, its destination being union with the sun god Ra. Number 8. Infinity symbol. Whether you're a hippy-dippy subscriber to New Age beliefs, or you just play Tekken without time limits per round, we're pretty sure you've encountered this symbol before. It's the number 8 turned sideways, and some people even refer to it as the Lazy 8. However, there is a small misconception when it comes to this symbol, since it doesn't actually mean that something is really infinite. Rather, it's a symbol formerly used by mathematicians to note potential or possible infinite qualities in their equations. First used in 1655 by John Wallis, the sideways 8 is derived from an engraving found in St. Boniface's cross. It was originally used to signify an object that has no beginning and end, which in the saint's case refers to God with its closed loop. Another theory ascribed to its creation is that it was an alteration to the Greek symbol for omega, which meant end that signifies a lack thereof. No matter the case, it's been a staple in mathematics and on original tattoo designs ever since. Number 7. Pi symbol. Perhaps the most popular mathematical symbol today, thanks mainly to the collective tomfoolery of the internet. The symbol for pi has been around since antiquity, and although it's mainly attributed to the ancient Greeks, the symbol for pi has actually a quite complicated history. Some scholars believe that it was ancient Chinese mathematicians who came up with it. Others, though, think it's the ancient Egyptians. In fact, historians and symbologists have become so unsure about the origin of this particularly tasty symbol that they just agree that it came into existence somewhere between 1000 BC and 1 BC, which is not that informative at all. On the other hand though, we have a relatively good idea why the pi symbol looks the way it is. You see, it's just the Greek equivalent for the English letter P, and when mathematician William Jones referred to the term pi as an abbreviation of perimeter, which is what the symbol calculates in a circle, the abbreviation and Greek letter became synonymous with each other, hence the pi symbol we know and love today. Number 6. Percent mark. And since we're on the topic of mathematical symbols, we also have the percent mark. It's pretty difficult to imagine a world without this symbol, given that it's used every day. Regardless, people used the term percento, meaning for 100, before any given number to specify fractions and ratios prior to the invention of the symbol in 1684. It was then abbreviated in a variety of ways, most commonly to PC, after which it was stylized into a cursive form with a loop at the end, which then evolved into a horizontal line between two dots. That looks like the modern day symbol for division. The percent mark as we know today, the slash between two circles or dots, was only formally established as recently as 1925 by mathematician D.E. Smith. Simply put, this symbol has evolved quite substantially throughout time. Number 5. The question mark. If you don't know what this symbol means, then either you're all-knowing or you're a corgi who just happened to see this video. The question mark is as much a part of being human as breathing. It's the symbol we use whenever we want to ask something. But have you ever questioned the mark itself? Like the symbol for pi, this too is heavily debated among academic circles. Most accept that it evolved from 8th century English poet and scholar Alcuin of York's symbol, which was written by placing a line shaped with a lightning bolt above a dot at the end of a statement. On the other hand, other scholars attribute the question mark to Latin scholars of the Middle Ages, who wrote the word quaestio at the end of their sentence to denote a question. From there they abbreviated it to QO, until it became practice to write the Q above the O, which eventually led to the modern question mark. Number 4. Exclamation mark. The exclamation mark means one thing. The sentence written is meant to be said aloud, be it in anger or excitement. The exclamation mark is a symbol that intensifies any statement. Don't believe me? Try using it in all sentences you write in your work emails, and you'll either be known as that crazy loud email guy or the most intense man in the office. Created in the Middle Ages, the symbol is actually derived from the Latin term interjectio, which was then abbreviated to IO. Incidentally, IO is also the Greek word for joy, which also demands an increase in volume when it's recited. From there, it evolved into the symbol we use today, since if you'll notice, the exclamation point is really just the letter I written above a circle or dot, which is exactly how it came to be. Number 3. The USSR's hammer and sickle. It's almost become the de facto symbol you use to either boost the morale of the working class or cause Cold War era Americans to freak out and run into their homemade bunkers. The hammer and sickle is an iconic symbol of communism, which was created by the USSR in 1917 as a sign used during their revolution against the Tsar. As far as its meaning goes, the hammer represents industrial labourers, while the sickle stands for Russia's peasantry. Combined, they stand to mean an alliance between all working class citizens of the country. Since then, though, it has become a universal sign for Marxism and socialism, which, as we all know, has become the boogeyman for the Western world. Number 2. The peace sign. Forming a V with your index finger and middle finger has become the universal symbol for peace. The Beatles used it, Tony Stark used it, and even Japanese girls trying to look cute in pictures use it. However, prior to it becoming a sign for peace, it was actually used to mean victory when Winston Churchill popularised it after the defeat of the Nazis. But if you go far back into history, you'll find a more sinister story behind it. See, during the 100 Years' War between England and France, the French had a habit of chopping off the index and middle fingers of captured English bowmen to incapacitate them forever from using their weapons. English bowmen, on the other hand, being the dandy people that they were in times of war, decided to use the V symbol to taunt their enemies in battle, showing them that they have everything they need to use a bow and arrow. In other words, back then the V sign actually meant, we can still kill you. Number 1. The dollar sign. Like it or not, we live in a world that is run by money. And even if you're from a country that doesn't have dollars as its means of currency, I'm pretty sure you're aware of what this symbol is used for, since it's used in a lot of countries all over the world. Now, there are actually 2 kinds of dollar signs. Both are made using the letter S, but one has a single vertical line passing through it, while the other has a couple. The first one, the single-lined dollar, is the formal symbol for US currency. The one with the 2 lines, however, precedes the US symbol and is based on the Portuguese cifrão. Back then, Portuguese currency was written by using the letters P, S, which then evolved into the letter P being superimposed on the S. From there, it became further abbreviated when the letter P turned into 2 vertical lines on the letter S, thus the cifrão. In turn, the United States adapted this symbol for their own currency, but just used a single vertical line to avoid confusion with its Portuguese counterpart. The double-stroked American variation may also be a derivative of the Spanish-American peso, which featured a Spanish coat of arms consisting of 2 vertical pillars wrapped by S-shaped banners. However, there is an alternative theory that states the US dollar sign evolved from superimposing the letter U on the letter S. Regardless of how it originated, the dollar sign has become almost universal when it comes to signifying money, so much so that cartoon characters usually have it in place of their pupils whenever they think of it. So there you have it, 10 more symbols you probably didn't know the meaning of. If you have any other symbols you want explaining, then drop a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please drop it a like and make sure to subscribe, clicking on that bell icon to never miss a video. Thanks for watching.